Last summer, while traveling north in the state of New York, I had a thrilling adventure at a country estate called Cottage. It was an adventure in which I discovered a great deal of information about the beauty of life and about myself. I would like to share that adventure with you now. As I continued my journey deep into the forest, I became entangled in floral undergrowth. Instead of becoming irritated or disgusted, I found it to be an exhilarating experience, an experience in which I was enraptured, not only by the beauty of the situation, but by the sheer adventure of being lost in color and fragrance. These flowers could not really be harmful when they gave so much beauty. I was beginning to be strangely happy in the flowers, as if the flowers themselves were telling me that I was safe from all danger. Quite suddenly, I became as one with the flowers, and I knew that I was part of them. and I knew that I belonged with them. Leaving the flowers, I continued my journey into the wilderness by going deeper into the forest. I found a path which led me miles into the undergrowth. As I followed this path, I noticed that it looked planned, almost man-made. It looked as if nature surrounded it, but the path might have been made by a force that knew something about symmetry and organization. The path blended itself with nature so beautifully. Was this design a theory of architecture? It was only after I crossed the bridge that I felt that man and his creativity might be close by in the forest. Was someone watching me? Was a living intelligence seeing my movements in the forest? If I were being observed, I could not help but have the feeling that my observer was good and positive. Oh, I belonged here, I felt. Whatever my past was, it had been designed step by step for me to be in this forest at this moment. I felt that my entire life until now had been a preparation for this moment. As I lay on the floor of the forest regaining my strength, I ceased momentarily being human. I felt like a dropped pebble, a twig. I was so overwhelmed by the enormity of the forest that anything human must surely be insignificant, dwarfed by the epic sweep and grandeur of the forest. This was reality, and reality had such spectacular beauty that it was truth. The truth became poetry, and the poetry was real. As I continued to lie on the forest floor, I became aware of my five senses. I became conscious of the fact that I could see, I could hear, I could smell, I could taste, and I could feel. All my cares were left behind me. I felt suspended in mid-air, suspended in the forest. Then I saw it. I saw the valley for the first time. I was astonished at its beauty and longed to enter it and become part of it. Wordsworth's lines sprang to my mind. Mornings at 7, the hillsides dew pearled, God's in his heaven, and all's right with the world. On the other side of the village lay the valley. Oh, this valley contained poetry. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed. And every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growst. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. I began to descend the cliff in the line of the forest that ran along the edge of the cliff. As I descended to the ground floor of the valley, I did so in a crevice with boulders on either side of the ravine. It took no time at all to reach the floor of the valley, but perhaps the journey to the valley floor was so exciting and pleasant that the descent seemed to go so very quickly. When I gazed up and saw the top of the cliff from whence I had come, I momentarily realized what a long distance I had come in such a short period of time. Instead of climbing down the face of the cliff, I had reached the base of the cliff through a ravine that wound through the rocks. I really can't describe my feelings when I first saw the cliffs. Being a poet, I was stunned by their beauty. For a moment, words would not come. After rolling up my sleeves from the heat and putting on my coat again, I looked at the cliffs. The sheer natural beauty of them moved me greatly. This was beauty untouched by man. This was a symmetry, and it was complete perfection, without flaw. Now I was on the floor of the valley in the heat of the afternoon. The heat was at the height of its intensity. I realized how alive all nature was at this time of the day. Everything began to intensify. Sound, sight, smell. I became aware that I was intensified as a human being, who I was, my passion for life. My passion. The intensity of the throbbing life around me had intensified my passion here on the floor of the valley. Now being in the center of the valley, I saw a wood in the distance at the edge of a field. Oh, it would be good to be in a wood again. After a while I came to a spring. Never before had I encountered water as clean and as pure as the water I saw before me. The water ran from the spring to a trickle which tumbled down a hill into a larger body of water. The larger body of water surrounded an island. I instinctively felt that many untold adventures awaited me on this island. My eye flowed with the water into a small river which drifted and drifted and drifted and drifted until it emptied into the Hudson River. How beautiful, how spectacular it was. I felt that truly beauty was truth and truth beauty. And this was all that mattered in the world. I took from my pocket paper and writing utensil and began to compose a poem. The river flows forever. Where does it go? The river flows forever, going into my future, without my control. Do I flow as freely into the future as the river? I think not, eternity. I look at the cliffs on the other side of the Hudson River. How perfect can nature be in sublime incantation? What history have these cliffs in their natural beauty seen, see, and will see in life's incumbent path? Oh, sing, sing songs and lamentations and spiteful ditties. Oh, these immortal beings passed on to paradise will surely see thee reaching to them, a gesture never fully executed in God's perfect earth and perfect heaven, which no bridge of space can reach. A tingling sensation swept my soul. Why would not others find happiness in beauty? Why was it only myself who could find passion in natural beauty? I crossed a bridge leading to the island because I thought I detected a structure through the trees. The rails of the bridge were unlike any rails I'd ever seen. The material reminded me of a kind of futuristic design, unknown to modern man. Was my imagination running away with my reason and logic? Then I saw it. From a distance I first laid eyes on the cottage through the trees. After I'd turned a corner of the vegetation, I saw a dog in the bushes. The dog looked at me in total silence. I held out my hand in protection of myself. He not only kept quiet, but completely disappeared into the bushes. His disappearance only gave the atmosphere a slight element of mystery, which made the situation more fascinating and intriguing. Stepping in front of the cottage, I could only stand in awe of its beauty. Why did I feel such tingling excitement, such pleasant expectation at simply viewing a house? Was it something in the design of the mansion? Was it the line of the house that made me feel an emotional response to the structure? I think not. The house evoked an old world, medieval memory that had been passed down the centuries to my brain. The drive. The drive that led to the house reminded me of God and man, God's creation, and what man had done with it. Reaching the back of the house, it seemed to me that there was no one at home. Had they fled at my approach? This house had to have a creative force, a foundation from which the idea of the estate sprang. At the back of the house, I found a staircase that led to the second floor. I did not climb it. Returning to the front grounds, I stood and stared at the house for quite some time. Then I saw her. She told me that this was Lander's cottage, and that Squire Lander, the master of the estate, was waiting for me within. She later told me that she was the maid of the house who had come to the estate years ago. She was a descendant of the Mohican tribe of Indians who had been native to the area 80 years ago. I wondered to myself if she were not truly the last of the Mohicans. As she began to lead me to the house, she would turn periodically and glance at me, as if she knew what was going to happen. I do believe that she had the most interesting face of any woman I'd ever met. Did she know what was about to transpire? Or was I reading information into the situation that was not there? The woman took me behind the house from whence I had come to take me inside. I felt that I was about to get involved in a great mystery at Lander's cottage. We entered the house through a side entrance. Passing into the parlor, I found myself with Mr. Lander. He was civil, even cordial in his manner. But just then I was more intent on observing the arrangements of the dwelling, which had so much interested me, than the personal appearance of the tenant. Nothing could be more rigorously simple than the furniture of the parlor. On the floor was an ingrain carpet of excellent texture, a white ground carpet spotted with small circular green figures. At some of the windows were curtains of white snowy muslin. The north wing I now saw was a bedchamber. Its door opened into a parlor. West of this door was a single window looking toward the brook. At the west end of the parlor were a fireplace and a door leading into the west wing, probably a kitchen. The squire proceeded to show me his piazza, which I found profoundly enchanting. I could not help but feel that in the squire's demeanor there was a radiance, a happiness, an ideal existence on earth. I felt his radiance not from what he told me concerning his piazza, but from the life that came from him as we conversed. Was this the ideal existence? I could not explain the soaring happiness I felt at Lander's cottage. At one point during our glorious walk, the squire asked me a question. He said, "You have seen God's creativity in nature as you approached our house. Now I have shown you man's creativity and what man has done with God's creation. Which form of creativity is more perfect?" he asked. This question stunned me momentarily, but after pondering heavily, I answered, "I think both forms of creativity are a part of the whole." At this point, Squire Lander left me to find the truth in what I saw. He took a walk back to the house and left me to explore the discovery of truth through beauty. As I bade farewell to my enlightened hosts, I could only feel soaring ecstasy as I left the cottage. Had I been in paradise? Had I found the ideal life on earth? Had I been given a glimpse of eternity? Why did I feel such soaring happiness while I was on the cottage grounds? Had I seen the execution of the ideal? And if I returned to the cottage at some future date, would my heart still thrill to the music of Nineveh as it had this glorious day? I was so happy that I had to express my happiness to the watchdog, who in his manner disappeared again. As I retraced my steps, I felt that the ground under me was not the earth, but an indistinct fog-like sponge that supported me. Would my feelings leave me as I left the valley? I never wanted to leave the valley. I wanted to stay here forever, and I wanted my feelings to stay with me. I wanted to stay in the valley from here to eternity. I knew that I would come again to Lander's Cottage to find the answer to the mystery of happiness I had found within its walls and without. Oh, I would come again to Lander's Cottage.